talk a little bit about the Northeast Illinois PRRS ARC project and the things that we have learned as we've gone about it. Give you a little background for those of you that maybe haven't heard about us before. We're situated in north central, northeast Illinois, DeKalb County primarily. Still a fairly heavy hog county, number 2 hog county in Illinois, Illinois number 4 in the country. So we certainly have a significant amount of hogs, and we certainly have some dense pockets. Here you see 5 farms we have in a single section. This is frustrating, and many of you see this out in places like Iowa and things. We certainly have some of these pockets. This one is called Hog Alley, I found out by the Illinois Department of Agriculture. 3,000 plus head farms in a 1.5 mile stretch. So they certainly give us some frustrations, but we're going to highlight today where we have some significant density in pockets. But if everybody's working together in that pocket, you can have some definite success. Who are we? I work with Bethany Swine Health Services, representing about 4 veterinarians, 11 support staff. We manage 5 sow centers. 4 of them are actually in this area. 1 ships pigs into it. We have significant control over another 10,000, 12,000 sows. So obviously in this area we are the big player. And so we've had a lot of success in moving our own farms forward. But we also have a lot of independent producers, a lot of long-time farrow to finish producers. And we've been able to kind of get them on board and buy into the project because they have a significant long-term vet-client relationship. Some of these are on the 3rd generation of both the veterinarian and the farmer. So we've got a long-term history with them. We've been able to bring them into the fold because they're in this for the long haul. What have been our keys to success? It's communication, communication, communication. It's talking to the producers regularly and often. Vets are out there at least monthly, and part of that monthly vet visit is spent discussing PRRS in some way, shape, or form for their farm. And our area has been a little bit easier. Bethany has a lot of knowledge of the area. We didn't have to go forward and research where the pigs were. We knew virtually where the pigs were, and we knew some of the flows and knew the people involved. So it was virtually simply getting it all in one place and organizing it as opposed to simply having to go out and try to get that information for 5, 6, 7, 8 more veterinarians. And we cannot say enough about the producers in our area. The producers in our area are truly behind this, truly driving it. They're those progressive, early adapter type people that you work with. I say long-term, multiple generation. You don't go to these farrow to finish farms without talking about their kids and how the kids are coming back to the farm. Many of them also raise their own corn, and even in the days of $7 bushel corn, $7 bushel corn, they understand that there is more value, at times at least, to walking their corn off the farm. And so they are in this for the long haul. They're extremely independent, but they definitely follow the leader, so to speak. And so you find in your areas that if you get one, the dominoes start to fall and they all follow each other. We've certainly seen that in our area. They're also very intelligent. Mostly a lot of college-educated producers, kids coming back home. They can understand the concepts of area spread, of biosecurity improvements, and why they work. So the producers, they say it's the P, not the T, and that's definitely true in our area. This has all led us to have what we feel to be a pretty successful project. We have extremely high participation. 85% of the producers, about 90% of the commercial pigs. That allows us not to have the rumor going around of the guy that broke in the middle that nobody knows about, but everybody's on board and everybody seems to know, and they all feel it's transparent and everybody's open. And the thing I like, participation equals signing that little consent form that many of you have developed. But in our area, it has also meant more, though it doesn't say more, that they have immediately started some controls on their farm where they needed. And, okay, once I'm controlled, then they're ready for elimination. They're working down that timeline. They really feel like they have to be involved once they're kind of in the fold, and that's been really good. We've had some successful herd closures. We've done almost 12 farms now. We've rolled virus out of the sows. A lot of downstream flow. We've been working to push it out. That's a lot of farms to take on in a short period of time. We've been at this just about 2 years now. And probably about 1.5 years when we actually started doing rollouts. So been busy, so to speak. Certainly not without its challenges. We found some what we call the old PRRS strain we hadn't seen in a while hiding out in some farms, particularly out in some finishers. Didn't surprise us. We probably knew it was there, simply trying to find it. And it's a reminder that you got to keep getting all of the bubble depops done. You got to keep working all the way down to all those finishing sites. You can't let one sit, and we'll get to that later. You really got to keep working on all of them so that they aren't a source of potential spread to other farms. Many of you have experienced as well. You get a rebreak right after you've rolled it out of the sow farm. We've had about 4 of those, 2 with existing virus to them and 2 close to the area, 2 with new strains. It's disheartening for the farm. It's disheartening for you, but we have one that they've already started to figure out how fast they can load gilts, and we don't even technically have the strain back. So rebreak on repop finishing sites, been involved with that. You just do it again. You just got to have the commitment to do it again and not let people get disheartened that if at first you don't succeed, try again. Many of you have also seen on these more virulent strains and in larger farms we're having to close longer than 200 days. That makes bigger gilt holes, bigger production gaps, but I can show you later it's well worth spending the time to get to the negative point that you need to be. You make a lot more money for another 20 days or 40 days or whatever it may take you to get it cleared from that farm. Show pigs are still a risk. Dr. Garbes will talk a little bit more about opportunity we had this summer. And then we still have 100% participation. I say yet, because virtually we have 3 commercial farms that haven't signed a consent form yet, and I think I can get at least 1, if not 2 of them. We just got to keep working and keep meeting and make sure we've talked with them all the time. We're 2 years into this project. How long does it take to get there? I think it may take longer in some other areas, but we're convinced that we will get there. You don't give up. You go back to control where you have to. And we're starting to rethink the next biosecurity level. We have, at this point, only filtered Borsted and GDU facility. We may be looking at doing our first sow farm. Truck washes. How do you get it done? How do you get it done right all winter long? Because guys don't like things in the cold. And then how do you make sure it gets done right every time? I've crawled in and out of a lot of trucks all summer and in the last year. And communication in area, we're finding, like you say, in these little pockets, as long as everyone in that pocket is working together, at least on control, at least if you guys have guys bought into control, which most producers are willing to buy into because they can see real benefits on the farm, you can start the elimination plan on the sow farm next door or whatever, as long as everybody kind of in the pocket's on board. I want to kind of highlight one of the success stories we have that's been enjoyable to watch and watch this farm go through this. We have 2 sow farms, obviously pretty highly connected here. You get the farrow to finish on the south side, north 3,500 breed to wean. These guys came home after we attended this conference a couple years ago and immediately started control. They had active PRRS shedding on that site, immediately came home and started vaccine, started Bic Rebel. By May, we felt we had everything in line to start some elimination plan on, you got to do it on the, they had internal gilt multiplication, so that made it a little more difficult and longer. Started it on the south farm, moved it up to the north farm. And I say elimination and wean to finish December. They were supposed to get bled Monday till I broke my foot. But everything looks good on those finishing sites, negative partway through the finisher that we feel that we're very close to walking that off the wean to finish side as well. But that's a 2-year process. What's even more amazing or impressive to this is that they did it in this area. You got your sow farms. You have a 8,000 head wean to finish site that actually Dr. Garbes will talk about how they were involved in this area. You have 9,000, 12,000, another 12,000 head downstream flow. At least one of these was believed to be the source of previous PRRS breaks. Not surprising since they can all pretty much cough and feel the same area. And number 3 has not actually eliminated yet, but they're highly controlled, working very hard and watching that site very closely. But it's a way of, if everybody's on board, at least on control, the sow farms felt that they can move forward in this area. It's a complicated herd plan, but the basics: load, close, homogenize with 2 doses of MLV. We can get into more specifics if you're interested. but these are kind of some of the results we've seen. Farm A is further along from coming out of closure. Farm B just actually came out of closure this summer. Seen a nice improvement in fairing rate, as you would expect on a farm that had some active PRRS around. Live born's gone up. As you can see, Farm B there is just a little bit behind, but they're still coming on as they get some of those older parity sows rolled out of the herd and get new gilts back in. Been really nice. The employees on that Farm A are extremely happy. They're just happy, and they're glad that they've been able to accomplish this. Part of the reason they're happy is the death rate drop has been really nice too. These are three of the variables we thought we saw some really nice improvements on. We wanted to share. Nobody likes dragging dead animals out of the farm, and so this has been enjoyable. You simply have more sows, you can have more pigs. Everybody knows, however, the more value of eliminating PRRS is on the wean to finish side. We saw some minor improvements in gain and feed conversion. Nice drop in mortality here, just about 0.5% mortality in some of their wean to finish flows. And full value pigs, or pigs in the box, or whatever many of you might call it, we got just 0.5 to 1% more pigs in that box. In this system, that equates to about $1 more a pig. You can pay for a lot of bubble depops, vaccine, biosecurity, whatever it is you may need to do, gilt gaps, with $1 more a pig on the downstream flow. And that's where we've really been able to sell this pretty easily to a lot of the producers in our area. And with that, I'll hand it over to Dr. Garbes to talk about some of the other farms we've had and some of the results.
All right, as you can see, Carrie's a key part of this, our project, and certainly runs this thing, and we just we ask her for a lot of help, and she comes through every time. So as Carrie went through, this farm right here is a finishing part of this small little pod we were talking about. And so this producer gets 2,800 pigs every 9 weeks, 3 age groups. Just to go through his process and how we eliminated PRRS on this farm, he received his last pigs from the sow farm. We called that day 0. Vaccinated every pig on the farm with Engelbach PRRS MLV. And then biosecurity actually should go before that day 0, because we had already talked about things that we're going to do. Okay, so we're going to have a clean, dirty line. We're going to be changing boots. We're not going to walk from outside into inside, and for different groups of pigs. So we'd already went through all that. And then if we're going to use different equipment or equipment from older hogs, we're not going to take it down into younger hogs unless it's been cleaned, disinfected, and dried. So we'd already went through all that stuff. And also we tried to change the mindset of the employees, and really a lot of stuff was driven by one employee on this farm. And so he also asked that we do some audits on the market trailers. And so we went in and swabbed some of those trailers and looked at those. And then also after the power washing team went through, went in and swabbed some of those sites that were dirty, and then also chalked those areas and asked them to go back and re-clean. And so then 21 days later, after the day 0, at the first vaccination, we come back around and vaccinate it again with MLV, and then they received their pigs. We'd like to have that 60-day window, but that didn't happen. So 42 days later, we received new pigs, wean pigs from the sow farm. So how do we assess the value of healthier pigs or a cleaner farm? And so in this graph, we're looking at average daily gain here and a nice improvement. And so some of that at the beginning of 2010, and so might be some of that bad corn. So we have to adjust our thinking a little bit there. But when we certainly look at our feed conversion, we got a nice improvement here, and we got a $4+ improvement. And so for this farm and for others, this is one of those tools we can take out and start showing people, and it looks good, and they say, wow, I think this improvement in health is something we want to do. So key factors in success, and so Carrie went over the fact that this is kind of just a small area within a larger region, and so we're saying anybody can do this. Just start with a few farms, at least if it's not elimination, at least it's for control. And so when we're talking about elimination plans, each of these farms had an individual herd plan, but then we needed an area plan if we're all going to work together. And even though that may not be written down, it was communication between veterinarians, and there was 3 involved with these multiple sites here. And so it was working on that communication. And I put teach, don't tell down there because one of the things we learned in this project is to go out and say, we're going to eliminate PRRS. People kind of back up a little bit and say, what do you mean? And so it's a process of showing them the value of removing this virus. Okay, what are the results of our project? And so I'll go through some bar graphs and stuff, and all these have tell a story for us. And so this particular one, new PRRS strains by year, number of strains. I'm not saying that's all of them, but these are the ones that we had. In 2010, we only had 1, but that was a very virulent strain and had caused many farms in our area to go positive. Some of it was by downstream flow. And in 2011, we had 2 strains, but then we're just talking about 1 farm. And so to tell the story there, this is a 500 sow farm, and they also raised a lot of show pigs. And so on an off-site after the show season, they brought 7 back, and the veterinarian said, yes, this producer said, you need to have these tested, and they didn't know, so he went out and tested them and actually found another field strain in the boar they were going to start using. And so he convinced him to get rid of all those show pigs. And so we kind of saved a costly mistake not only for them, but possibly for other people in the area. So this is a process of people buying in, veterinarians, producers, all buying into this project. And then the other strain that we found on their farm, really, as far as we know, hasn't went anywhere. It seems to be just localized to them. This graph, we're looking at PRRS strains in our area. And so on the y-axis, we got a number of strains, and down below, again, we have the years. And as I'll show on the next slide, we've done a lot of sequencing lately, but in the past years, maybe haven't done that much, that many sequences, so there's possibility there was more strains in the area. But again, in 2011, our ideal thing would be we're down to 1, which would be MLV, and then at that point we can move ahead and look at getting rid of that. And so if we can maintain down to 1 strain, which would be a 252, our RFLP pattern, we'd be fine with that. This slide is the PRRS sequences by year. And so, as you can see, in 2011, we've done a lot of sequences. Not only is this costly for the producer, but it's a lot of work. But what we've done here is this year, instead of like in 2010 when we first started the project, we had some positive farms. We didn't run sequence on every one of them. And so at the end, we thought, wow, I wish we'd have known what virus was on that farm. This year, we decided we're going to sequence everything. And so we've got a lot of green there, a lot of MLV. When we use a lot of MLV on a lot of farms, modified live vaccine, we have different groups that are positive by PCR, so we end up sequencing multiple groups on the farm. So this runs into a lot of sequencing. You'll see a lot of red there. Most of those will come from a few individual farms that were in closure and cleanup, and so as we get PCR positives on wean pigs, we run sequences on those. So they're really localized to just a few farms. We use these quarterly herd status reports on the sow farms, and so that to kind of tell a story. And so certainly on the y-axis we have the number of sow farms, and you can see how we started, and we get to the third quarter and everything looks great. And actually we were feeling pretty good at that point in 2010, just getting into the project. We're not even a year into it, and it looks like we're well on our way. And then we get hit in the fourth quarter with some new viruses, just like this year. We've had a few sow farm breaks, and really the response, all the red in the bar graph in the first quarter of 2011, really is the fact a lot of individuals or sow farms responded with using MLV because they saw the success, or I should say, the lack of clinical signs on the farms that broke that had been using it. So we just saw a lot of our farms that had went negative went ahead and put MLV back into their farms. And I should probably say something about the unknowns here. As you go across, you say, well, you've been 2 years now. Why do you still have some unknowns? You should have those farms located. Well, we do have contact with some of those farms. One is a very small producer, a pasture farrow gentleman. He's an older fellow, and he said, well, this is a problem of you confinement people, you larger people. It's not a problem of pasture feral people. So, you know, I think we're getting to him. You know, he's very interested in this rope thing. He really wants to know more about this rope thing. He said, you can't go out there and test them. You know, the way you can catch them, we can't bleed them. But this rope thing he's interested in. Then we do have a larger farm that's just opted, certainly they know their status, but they've opted not to share. In Cordy herd status on our wean to finish side, we had a lot of sites early on, and so part of the process is that there's sites in and out of pigs as we go over time, and so you can see that now we're hanging kind of close to that 55, 65 area, and so the process we really wanted to see here is that we try to get everybody to go at one time in a coordinated effort, use MLV and kind of reduce shedding, and try to, if not, eliminate control PRRS. And so right now, as we look in the third quarter 2011, approximately 90% of those people have used MLV or are using MLV to help control. And so the red there would indicate people that are using MLV, but they're positive, for the most part would be positive because we're still getting field sequence back from them. So what's our next step in our project? Well, we've moved to also on to another area and took on an area in northwest Illinois. And this was really based on the desire of some of the producers that receive wean pigs out of the Northeast Illinois project. The characteristics of that area is few sow farms, and they're really a net importer of pigs. And really their density is less than what ours is in Northeast Illinois. The advantages certainly of today's economics should help drive the project, and if we look at the new report, Iowa State and pork checkoff, and look at 1.8 billion or million a day that were looted from PRRS, certainly we should all be running out of the room now and trying to do something. And then the veterinarians also seem to be on board right now with that project, and so that is certainly the first step in convincing the producers and moving forward. And then the challenges, yeah, we're going to have some challenges. We're coordinating from a distance now. That seems to be a little bit different. It's taking longer to move forward, and even getting these consent forms signed, it has been a little issue. The Northeast Illinois project now is also sending them positive pigs, as I'll show you in the next slide here. So this is how we're affecting that new project now. Back in 2009, you see we were sending quite a few positive pigs out there. We went through a lot of herd cleanup. And looking in late 2010, everything looked great, and we were sending them a lot of negative pigs. And then, of course, now times have changed again, and with sow farms breaking this fall, we're sending them, 21,000 positive pigs over this next year. So we will have some challenges there. In the future, also, funding is going to be an issue, and hopefully we are getting closer to the Northeast Illinois project as being self-sustaining, and the producers will take this on. I think the majority believe in it now, and so as we move forward in the Northwest Illinois project, we'll have to look at securing some funding. And certainly it wouldn't be right for me to sit down without encouraging more ARC projects. As you think about 2 years ago, we were sitting out there and made a decision to change our thinking and move forward with this, and I'd say for us it's been a very good thing, and certainly the coordination that's going on now with PRRS CAP and the Area Solutions team and AASB, I think this is the time. And we certainly would like to acknowledge funding from PRRS CAP. They certainly helped us out in the last couple of years, and then industry partners have been behind us and helped with a lot of that bleeding work and stuff too. And then area pork producers of DeKalb County who have had to take on a lot of expense here too on moving forward, but ultimately for the good.